The next section that we want to build is this benefits section. Now, I want to have two pretty cool interactions or going on in this section. So what I want to have is I basically want each one of these features or benefits here to go on top of the other, like cards in a deck. So we're basically going to use a sticky position to make sure that the first card scrolls and then it gets stuck, and then the second one goes on top of it, and then the third goes on top of it. And the other thing that I want is, as we're scrolling, I want the shoe to kind of like zoom in. So it's going to be a cool effect where both the image is animating and also the cards are going one on top of the other. So let's see how we're going to do this. First, let's start with the structure of the cards going one on top of the other, and then we'll set up the actual layout and the shoe animation. So the basic structure that we need is we need a section to wrap all of it, and then we basically need 3 cards within to be set as sticky elements. So let's give this a try. So we are in the main, and we're going to add a new section. So Command E, section, and we're going to call this benefits section. Okay, inside the benefits section, let me add another div. And this one, let's call this benefit wrapper. So this is going to be a single benefit wrapper, and we'll basically have 3 of those. So let's actually copy and paste 3 of those, so just so that we can see what we have. They're currently empty, but let's go ahead and just give them a temporary class or style so that we can see if the cards going one on top of the other actually works, right? So let's set each of them to 100% viewport height. So every card, now we have the first card scrolling into the second card, scrolling into the third card. We've got 3 cards taking up the full screen. Let's give them a random background color like this lime so that we can see. And actually the second one, let's turn it to a different color. So I'm just going to do temp card. I'm just creating a temporary class just to give this a little bit of a different background, just so that I can see what's going on. So right now I've got the green card, then the gray card, and then another green card on top of it. And let's bring in some kind of a text inside. So H1 test. I'm just going to write text here, and let's go ahead and center this just so that we can see what's going on. I'm going to turn the benefit wrapper into a flex and turn the text into black just so we can see what's going on. Okay, so now we've got test, test, and test. Okay, so now we can see we're scrolling the first slide, second slide, third slide. And let's turn these slides, so benefit wrapper, let's turn them into sticky position and set the top as 0. So when it gets to exactly the top of the screen, it's going to basically stick. So let's try this. We're going through the first one, and then as you can see, the first slide is sticking, and the next slide comes on top of it until it gets to the top of the screen. It gets stuck, and then the third slide is coming over. Okay, so we've got the first structure of the mechanism, 3 cards mechanism going on. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So that works. And now let's actually put the actual layout inside. So let's delete these benefits, and we can even delete this text. And actually, let's reset this. I'm not sure that I want this as a flex. Let's just bring back everything to the text color. I'm going to reset the background color. I'm going to reset. Now let's look at what the actual layout is. So the actual layout is 2 basically wrappers or 2 areas, one with the content. So we can call this the first div benefit content, and then benefit image. So let's go ahead into the benefit wrapper, bring in 2 divs. So 1 div, copy and paste second div. First one, let's call it benefit info. And then second one is benefit image, we can call it. And then we do want them one next to each other. So it does make sense that benefit wrapper is going to be a flex that is horizontal. That is great. And let's see in terms of sizing. So I would say that the info is about 1/3 of the screen, right? So we can, for benefit info, we can set the width as 30%. And image, we basically just want it to expand, just take up the rest. So for benefit image, we can just go here to flex sizing, just expand as much as possible. So now we've got this layout of 30% on the side. You know what, looking at it, compared to this, looks more like 35, maybe even 40. Yeah, this looks like a more, accurate proportions. So let's start designing this. Benefit info has a white background, right? And the image has a green background. So benefit image, green background. And actually there is 1 pixel gap between them, right? So we can also go back into the benefit wrapper and add a gap of 1 pixel between them. So now it's going to, maybe that's even 2 pixels, I don't know. Let's preview this. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, what do we have in this info card? First of all, I can already see this is going to be a flex because there's space between the top content, which is the title and the number, and then the actual text that we've got here. So let's bring in this information, wrap these two elements, the number and the heading, together so that we can space between them. So let's start bringing in a text element, just a text block for the number. And by the way, I can see that we won't be able to see them because we didn't give benefit info padding. So let's give this a padding. Basically from left and right, we can use the global padding so that everything is aligned with the top here. From the bottom as well. From the right as well. I do think though that at the top, we need more padding because we've got the navigation going on. So it's probably double. So if this is 90 times 2, maybe this should be just 180. Let's see if that makes sense. Well, we can't see the text. Why? Because the text is white. Yeah, maybe the text is white. So for benefit info, let's make sure that the text is black. Okay, now we can see it and we preview it. Yeah, I gave a little bit too much padding at the top, so the space here looks a little bit too big. But I can do something like this. Okay, so this is going to be the number 1. After this, we're going to bring in H2. Because this is you can say this is a section heading. So H2. And then let's copy this. Self-tightening laces. You can also, while we're here, give this a class and make sure that it's the same size, 65 on 110%. So 65 on 110% line height. That's great. We should also give this a class. Let's call this benefit number. Or are we reusing this numbers in circle anywhere else on the website? Not really. Okay, so we can call it benefit number. Otherwise, maybe we wanted something more generic as a name. Benefit number. And then what we want for this is, let's see what the size of this is. So this is 32 times 32. So we can set 32, 32. Let's center it inside this 32 times 32 div. Let's give this a background color lime, full round corners, so radius 999. And I think we need to give this, 2 pixels border. So border, black, 2 pixels. That looks good. Okay, so we've got the number, we've got the heading. Let's wrap them together. So they're a single group. And then below them, we're going to bring in a paragraph. And the paragraph is going to have this text, paragraph, and to align the paragraph to the bottom for info, benefits info, let's set that to flex, vertical, and then space between. Okay, so now we've got the first group that we wrap together on the top, this at the bottom. Let's view this. So we're going here, and then it's going to stop here. And yeah, the top margin and the left margin looks the same. So the layout, I think, is good. I'm happy about it. And I guess this whole info card is now ready. So now we want to bring in the image here. So inside benefit image, let's bring in an image, and let's select the image that we have here. Now this image, basically we're using the same image 3 times, but every time we're rotating it a bit, it's super zoomed, and it needs to be cropped. So that already tells me that the parent element, benefit image, is going to need to have overflow hidden, because we're going to expand the shoe, but we don't want the shoe to get out of this benefit image. So let's set benefit image with overflow hidden. And the first one, we'll basically need 3 different classes because each time it's positioned a little bit differently. So let's call this just like benefit image 1. And now we can just start scaling it and rotating it. So I'm going to go down here into 3D transforms, or 3D transforms or 2D transforms. I'm going to rotate it up just a tiny bit. In which direction? Yeah, I guess this direction. And I can also go ahead and add scale to this, so it's big. And I can also add another transform of moving it. Something like this. Do we have something similar? Yeah, it's pretty much similar to the design we were going for. Okay, so we've got the first image. Now we need to, where's the move? Take the move a little bit more like this. Okay, so we've got the first benefit section. All we need to do right now is take benefit wrapper, copy it so that we have 3 of these sections. And for the second one, let's start with the second one basically has a switch layout. So all we have to do is basically put the benefit image before the info, and that's it. Now, here's an interesting thing that happens, actually. First of all, because we have a gap between them, you can see that when the next card goes on top of it, we can actually see 1 pixel here between them. We can see the previous card. So let's make sure that benefit image has like a background color or something, just to make sure that we've got like solid color there. Where's the background? Where is the background? There we go. No, not for benefit image, for benefit wrapper, color black. Okay, so now the gap is black. We also want maybe to have a border here on the top, like a black border as they are starting to cover one another, I think. Otherwise, it looks weird that there is black border in the middle, but not on the top. So let's also select benefit wrapper and set a top border of 2 pixels. Yeah, so now we've got this. Let's preview this. Yeah, so now it's nice. Now we've got the border on the top of this section and the black border between them. And now it's switching places. Okay, so we've got it. All we need to do is basically replace the content for slide number 2. So this is going to be 2. Replace the content. And then this is going to be 3. And of course, also change the position of the image. So I'm going to duplicate benefit image 1, which sets the position of this image on the first section. So let's duplicate this. Set this as image number 2, and now we can play around what happens on image 2. We can move it significantly higher, even more, and maybe even like this. This is what we need to see here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then on 3, benefit image 3, let's duplicate this, set this as 3. And now we want to see the top of the shoe. So let's move it down and something like this, but probably bring it down. That's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Can change the rotation maybe slightly. Maybe even remove the rotation completely, I think. Okay. Okay. So we've got the sections laid out. We've got the cards going one on top of the other. The last thing I want to do is this zooming in effect. So as we're scrolling, the shoe is going to kind of like zoom in. Okay, let's see how we're going to do this. What we want to do is we have, let's see our structure here. Basically, we want to apply an interaction to benefit wrapper that we can reuse because we've got these 3 sections with exactly the same structure. So as benefit structure scroll through the screen, it's going to apply an animation, a zoom in animation to this. But I can already see one problem, and the one problem is that we're going to affect this, we want to affect the image, but this image here has 3 different classes that we've created. So we won't be able to reuse because every time it won't know how to apply. So that's problem number 1. And the other thing that I'm thinking about is that we have already applied some scale transformation. And I think Webflow is going to be confusing if we already applied and now we're trying to scale this again. It's going to make things jump, or I think that's going to be problematic. So a way that I'm thinking about solving this is I'm going to wrap the benefits image 1. I'm going to wrap it in a div block, and let's call this zoom shoe. Zoom shoe. And now this doesn't have any transformation to it, so I can just go ahead and animate this, right? I can now just go and scale this, and it's going to zoom it regardless of other transformation we did to zoom benefit 1. And now I can actually go ahead and wrap these in the same class, zoom shoe. And that actually solved the problem of these classes have different names, right? Because now I can only target the zoom shoe. So now I've got this new class that I want to apply the interaction to, zoom shoe. We're using it in all 3 sections, so we're good to go. Let's try to apply this. Benefit wrapper. Let's go ahead to the interactions. And what we want to do is while scrolling in view, and this is a continuous interaction, meaning that if we stop scrolling, the zooming stops. If we scroll back up, the zooming actually reverses. So let's go ahead and apply that, create a new scroll animation. Let's call this zoom shoe. So this happens when benefit wrapper scroll through the view, and what we actually want to target is the zoom shoe. So let's go ahead and what we want to do is scale it. So let's select scale. And let's say that at the top, before the section enters the screen, the scale is 1, which is basically the current size. And when it's almost outside, like 100% scrolled in, let's set this to 1.5 and see what that looks like. Okay, and let's select this and then try to scroll. And now you can see that as we are scrolling, the shoe is getting bigger. And yeah, this looks great. Now we do want this to affect the class. So, and only children with this class. So that sounds good. Let's go ahead and save that and preview it. Now we're scrolling and it zooms in nicely. Let's reapply this interaction to the other sections as well. So let's do while scrolling in view. We're going to select zoom shoe. And the last section, let's add scrolling in view, play interaction, zoom shoe. And let's preview what we've got. So we're scrolling, shoe is zooming, second shoe is zooming, third shoe is zooming. That's really nice. Okay, so we've created 2 interactions happening one on top of the other, 2 effects, the stickiness and the zoom, and that's pretty cool.